Hi everybody, welcome to Mr. Gardner's Quarantine Kitchen. I'm Mr. Gardner.
I'm Violet. And I'm Amber.
And today we are making
chocolate chip cookies.
Alright, here we go. We have a little problem though because we want to make more than what the recipe says. So we want to actually double our recipe. And we need to figure out how to do that, right guys?
Correct. So we're practically doing math.
That's right, we are practically doing math.
Okay, so here's our recipe for the cookies. We're going to use a half a cup of unsalted butter, half a cup of brown sugar, half a cup of regular sugar, 1 large egg, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, half a teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 1/2 cups of chocolate chips, and we're going to skip the pecans today because I'm out of them.
Okay, so my chocolate chip cookie recipe is pretty standard. We start with a half a cup of unsalted butter. So if I want to double a half a cup of unsalted butter, how much butter do I actually need?
Remember, if I have 2 halves and I put them together, I'm going to make a whole. So
1 cup.
Great, 1 cup of butter. So let's put that in now. Next, we're going to put in a half a cup of light brown sugar.
And 2 halves make a whole, so
Violet, how much?
1 cup.
1 cup? Wow, that was pretty good. That was fast. All right, well, let's do it then. That's all right. So there's 1/2 cup there.
Let's do another.
And we'll do one more. Make sure it's all flattened out and straight, patted down. Great job. And we'll put that in there. Next up, Amber, how much sugar do we need to put in? Our recipe calls for a half a cup.
We need to put in 1 cup.
Okay, so let's measure that out now. Okay, there's 1.
I need to put in a little bit more because
Okay, that's fine.
that's not
Perfect, so that's 1 cup.
no need.
Okay, so once we have those 3 ingredients in our bowl, our next step is to cream the butter together with all that sugar. Okay. Okay, so once you'll notice that it's starting to cream together when you stop seeing things separated, everything's looking together. There's no pockets of butter. We're just making a nice smooth
Dough.
mixture like this. It's kind of like a thick dough.
Yeah.
So now it's time for our next step. So what's the next part in the recipe,
Eggs.
Violet? Eggs. So the original recipe calls for 1 egg. How
2
many
eggs.
eggs do we need to add?
2 eggs.
2
wow,
eggs.
You're
Okay.
fast at math.
Violet's right here. So 1 egg times 2, we're doubling the recipe, is 2 eggs.
Okay, next
Eggs.
we figured out we needed 2 eggs for our recipe. So there they go. We're gonna go into the bowl now. Too late. Okay, go Violet.
I still have more yolk in here.
There we go. Okay, so what did our how much vanilla extract do we need? It calls for 1 teaspoon. So how many do we need?
I bet you're getting the hang of this now. 1 teaspoon times 2 is probably 2.
2 teaspoons, sorry.
Great. There's our vanilla extract right there. We're gonna add it in. Okay, next we're on to our dry ingredients, and our recipe originally called for 1 1/4 cups of flour. So if we want to double that, how much do we have?
This one's a little tougher. So if you break up the whole things you're multiplying together and the 2 quarters, you'll get it.
We have 2 1/2 cups of flour. In it goes. 1/2 cups of flour go into the dry bowl. Perfect. Yep, so our next few ingredients are, we have cornstarch. We have a tablespoon of cornstarch going in. We have a half a teaspoon of baking soda and a half a teaspoon of salt.
Okay, let's break this down. So 1 tablespoon cornstarch times 2 is going to be 2 tablespoons. Half a teaspoon of baking soda is going to be 1 teaspoon. And half a teaspoon of salt times 2 is also going to be 1 teaspoon.
So we've already put the cornstarch in. Now we're working on getting the baking soda in next. Yep, just flatten that out a little bit. Yeah, that's perfect. And we're gonna need that. Just one is good, right? And next goes in the teaspoon of salt. Go for it. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to mix our dry ingredients in with our wet ingredients. So here we go. Make sure it all gets in there. And we begin to mix.
3 cups of chocolate chip.
Okay, so Amber's getting in there and she is mixing our dough up. We're making some progress here. We just want to make sure that all the flour is incorporated and all the dry ingredients are in with the wet. Nice shot of your elbow there, Amber.
That's dark chocolate chips. Yes.
No.
Don't worry, they'll taste extra good when they're in the thing. Okay, so our next step our recipe calls for 1.5 cups of chocolate chips, and we're doubling that. So how many cups of chocolate chips are we going in? Yeah.
It's a mega cup.
You're not supposed to spill the answer so quickly.
I want to taste.
We're math nerds.
All right, let's pour it in.
Yep, Violet and Amber have it right here. 1.5 cups times 2 is 3 cups, and that's an insane amount of chocolate chips.
Okay, so just start mixing it in with the dough. Not too hard.
Oh my.
Calm down.
We are very sorry about that.
Okay, so as you can see, there is a lot of chocolate chips in there. We don't go cheap in the Gardner household,
True.
right? So we just got those all mixed up, and now our next step is to put this in the fridge for about an hour to get it all nice and chill so everything's the same temperature. And we're going to do that now. Okay, and into the fridge our cookie goes, Alton Brown style. Okay, we are back and from our walk, and our cookies are ready. So let's go put them on the pan. Okay, so we want to take a scoop of cookie dough, probably about that much. Put it in your hands, your nice clean hands. Roll it up into a nice ball about that size. Like that. So we're spacing it about this far in the pan. We're going to do 3 across and 12 on each pan. Okay, so once you've got a pan of about 12 of them, they're ready for the oven, as long as you've got your oven on at 325. I'm going to put it in for about 15 minutes, but I'm also going to keep an eye on them because I don't want them to get too brown or too crispy. Okay, and just like that, they are out of the oven and cooled and ready for the cooling racks. Don't they look delicious? Ha ha. All right, our cookies are ready. Come on, show your cookie. You already got chocolate on your face. So our cookies are ready. If you look, they're nice and soft when you burst it open. Look at all that chocolate. Oh,
I haven't
yeah.
even bit mine and I already have chocolate on my face.
Wow, that is a lot of chocolate. Here, we're gonna try it out. Mmm, so chewy and sweet.
Die!
Show your face. What is that?
Thanks for watching. I'm really excited to see what recipes you come up with and how you multiply your recipes for more people.